Hi, family. I am coming to you pre recorded from Brooklyn. I wish I could be there with y'all today to celebrate, but I wanted to send this little video because I've been doing, as some of you might know, a lot of ancestry research over the past few years and have found so much interesting material about my whole family tree and our family tree. So I thought it would be a good opportunity now to share some of that with you all. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen here. We're going to do a little a Zoom style kind of broadcast of some of the information that I found. So I'm going to share my screen and show you my ancestry tree on online. Okay, so I'm pulling up. This is my family tree. This is for me. So you can see if you see my mouse here. Here's me and my siblings, their spouses, my aunts and uncles, grandparents, and my great grandparents. So obviously, we see granddad right here, grandma, their parents, my great grandparents. But I'm going to switch over to granddad's family tree because that's obviously the man of the hour today. So here we go over to Granddad's tree. Here we go. Granddad, born 1935. Grandma, born 1936. So celebrating 87 years of life this year. And I'm gonna zoom out because I think from this point it's a really impactful image to be able to see from Granddad all of the life that came out of his life. And then we're going to go back in time and see the many generations that came before mine, before my mother and her siblings, before granddad, grandma, and their siblings, before their parents, even. So here we have obviously JD Varner and Daria, and I'm going to zoom out so we'll be able to see this full image of the family tree. So there we have in the center still JD right here. And then we have the children and the grandchildren and the 16 great grandchildren from this one life of JD Varner. It's pretty impactful, I think. I love just being able to see this, to see the family. I did take some time to put everyone's pictures in here so you can see everyone, and it is just really beautiful to see it. So there's that. That alone, I think, is a really amazing thing. But now we're going to go back in time. As we all know, Granddad's parents, John Lynn and Dee Hurd, had Granddad a little bit later in their lives. And so Granddad, John JD, was born many years after his maternal grandfather had passed away. John T. Hurd passed away in 1907. Granddad was born in 1935, so almost, how many years is that? 30 years, 28 years later. And then also John Lynn Varner, born 1886, passed in 1955, did not know his father. So Granddad did not know either of his grandfathers, which is always something that I've thought about because of how impactful Granddad's presence was in my life, in the life of my cousins and my siblings. And I think that that was an intentional thing, something I'm so grateful for, that he, despite not knowing his grandfathers, made it a point to be an impact in his grandchildren's lives and in his great grandchildren's lives through his love and his wisdom and his guidance and his Simon Says games and his Frisbee golf games and his family vacations and all of the many different games and trips and adventures that he has always crafted and continues to craft even well into the 80s of life. So just a note there too, I think, to see how we can't go back any further to Granddad's, paternal grandfather, but we can go back further in some other directions. So for the Varner name, John Lynn Varner named the Varner family from Emma Varner. Her father, Samuel T. Varner, married Sarah Jane Taylor, had Emma, who had John Lynn. So we can follow this Varner family back from Samuel T. to his father, Peter Varner, born 1784 in Pennsylvania, to his father, Nicholas Varner, born 1764 in Maryland, then later lived in Pennsylvania, to Nicholas Varner's father, Christoffel, born 1735 in York, Pennsylvania, to his father, John A. Werner, spelled with a W, born 1708 in Germany. So this being the first generation that came from Germany in the Varner family line, Johann Adam Werner, born the 2nd of September 1708 in Massenbach, Heilbronn, Baden-Württemberg, Germany, then lived in York, Pennsylvania. And you can see his father too, Hans Jörg Werner, born 1661, lived his life in Germany. So the last full generation that lived in Germany of the Varners. And then his father, Hans Werner, 1624 to 1684, lived in Germany. And that's where that family line ends. But again, so interesting to see. Let's zoom out. From Germany, this Johann Adam Werner, the first generation to come from Germany. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then Granddad being the 8th generation of Varners to come from Germany. Now I want to go to another really interesting kind of family fact and tidbit that I'm not sure everyone even knows yet. But from Granddad, and we go to Mommy D Hurd, born 1893 in Rochester Mills and died in 1966. So Granddad, born when she was 42 years old. But from the Hurd family line, we're going to trace that back a little bit to this interesting family fact. So from Dee's parents, we go to John T. Hurd and Ella Mae Bush. John T., born 1845, died in 1907. John's parents, Louis John Hurd and Rachel Wilson. To Louis's parents, Elias Hurd and Jane Thurston. To Elias's parents, Ebenezer Hurd and Abigail Kempton. So right here we have, this is Granddad's third great grandparents. So that's Granddad's great 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 grandparents. To Ebenezer's parents, Eustace Hurd and Rachel L. Fuller. So this is where we're actually going to tip over to Rachel's parents, to the Fuller family. This is Granddad's fourth great grandmother, Rachel L. Fuller, to her parents, Shubael and Fuller and Hannah Crocker. And then now we're splitting again, but Shubael's parents, John Fuller and Mehitable Rowley. To John's parents, Samuel Fuller and Jane Lothrop. And then Samuel's parents, Edward Fuller and Ann Hopkins. Back down to Hannah Crocker. Her parents, Jonathan Crocker and Hannah Howland. Hannah's parents, John Howland and Mary Lee. And John's parents, John Howland and Elizabeth Tilley, as well as Elizabeth's parents, John Tilley and Joan Hurst. I'm naming all of these specific characters in the family tree, these ones that have this same image, you'll note, because all of those who are direct grandparents to myself, to all of my Varner cousins, to Varner and Frumkin cousins, to my Varner aunts and uncles, to Granddad and his siblings and their descendants. We are directly descended from these 7 grandparents of ours that were all passengers on the Mayflower. So in 1620, on the Mayflower that came from Europe, came from the Netherlands and from England, carrying about 150 passengers and plus crew, came to what we now call the United States and what we now call Plymouth Bay. and what was they declared Plymouth Colony in Wampanoag territory. The native Wampanoag people lived there. Um, these seven, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, were passengers on the Mayflower. So it was John Tilley and his wife Joan and their daughter Elizabeth, Edward Fuller, his wife Anne, and their son Samuel, and then John Howland, who was an individual on the ship. The seven of them came on the Mayflower in 1620. That first winter, four of them passed away. John and his wife Joan Tilley, Edward Fuller and his wife Anne, leaving their children, Samuel Fuller and Elizabeth Tilley, as orphaned Plymouth settlers. Elizabeth ended up marrying John Howland, who was another passenger that had come on the ship. They settled in Plymouth, as well as so did Samuel, who married Jane Lothrop, who had come on a different ship with her father. All of these original settlers of Plymouth and surrounding areas in Massachusetts and the Plymouth Bay area. Barnstable, where Samuel Fuller and Jane Lothrop lived. Scituate, Sandwich, Massachusetts, all places just south of Plymouth, where I actually had the fortunate opportunity to go visit in October of 2020 with a friend and visit some of these family sites, which hopefully I'll be able to show you some video and footage and photos from at some point. But I'm going to zoom out again. So we have these seven grandparents of ours that were on the Mayflower. And as I zoom out, we're going to be able to see again this full image of what the family tree looks like coming from those individuals. So up there at the top, real tiny now, you see those seven individuals that have that same blue picture. It's the Mayflower ship, actually. So we have those seven individuals. So that's these two generations, really, that were on that ship that came in. So one, two, then we have three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Granddad being the 11th generation from these Plymouth Mayflower ancestors. Then, of course, my mother's generation being the 12th, mine being the 13th, and then my nieces, nephews, my cousins' children being the 14th generation from these Plymouth ancestors. And again, you can see the fullness of this family tree. Johann Varner from Germany, these other ancestors, the Fullers and the Howlands and the Tilleys coming from Europe and settling in Plymouth. And now here we are, this whole Varner clan that has descended from this family. And so I hope that that has given you just a taste of what I have been able to get into finding all of this family information. It has been such a treat to be able to uncover this, and I want to be able to share more of it with you, just putting this video together for this special occasion for Granddad's 87th birthday to share some of it. But I have all of this on Ancestry.com, so if you have an account on there, you can access it. I can share it with you via email, and it'll give you access to view everything that I have on there. You don't have to have a paid account for it. If you do want to have a paid account, you can build your own, but you are able to save a lot of the things that I have already saved, so that our information is already there for you to find. So I am wishing you, Granddad, a happy, happy 87th birthday. It is a joy to know you. It is a joy to be your grandson. I am so grateful for you and for your life and for the many, many years of celebrating that we've had together. And I'm wishing you a happy celebration today and cheersing you with a little bit of black coffee to many, many more. Sending you all so much love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you.